No, no, you don't have a problem. Even I don't have a problem, but I didn't wanted to go through the slide approach. That slide,
Ah,
what I have done is for myself, so that I can refer to it and explain.
you are also recording this, right, today?
Yeah, yeah, I'm recording it.
They'll be very, very useful.
Yeah, we can share it, no issues.
Yeah,
And
Padmashri was also telling that she has forwarded it to her husband.
okay, but Padmashri is missing.
Correct.
So let us wait for another minute before we start. Let me ping her. Oh, no. So how was the weekend?
For me, good.
Weekend for me was kind of hectic. I don't know. I did not get much time for my spirituality.
Okay, no worries. And
I read around 50 pages of Mankuti Manakagga three times. It's exactly that Vedic.
okay,
What you have been teaching, na? Same thing.
okay. And
Yeah. I'm reading this Panchadashi. So I reached almost 200 pages.
good. And Sri Hari had a question on Vata Pitta Kapha. So let's see whether that also can be covered.
Morning.
Morning. So we were just
Good
waiting
morning.
for you.
Sorry.
Morning, Padmashri.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay. So now, what is this Sandhyavandanam? I think my son also wanted to know. It is good. So these are the 24 names of, you can say, Keshava, the starting one. So it's called as Keshava Nama. But actually, after saying this, you are supposed to look at reality. So the 24 tattvas also have to be identified. So we'll go one by one. So I think sometime back last year, I think I had explained about each of these 24 names. So I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I thought let me do it again. Would that be fine?
Yeah.
Okay, it starts with Keshava. So one who is straightforward and he knows all the tattvas and gunas is a Keshava. That's the first one. So that's the reason it is called as Keshava Nama. And Narayana is a person who is flowing everywhere into the cosmos, be it microcosm or macrocosm. This Narayana is there. Whether somebody believes or somebody doesn't believe, that what is being there is there. So this is again part of consciousness. And then coming to Madhava, Madhava is a person who cuts ignorance and shines the true knowledge. So a person who is seeking for true knowledge will definitely be getting through Madhava. Then Govinda is called the owner of the senses. So all the senses, five senses, the chakshu, shrota, grana, jivha, and kaya, all the five senses he owns. What it means by owning is that the consciousness is the one which is connecting to the Vishaya. So it's called Indriya Vishaya, which is Rupa, Shabda, Gandha, Rasa, and Sparsha. So all of these are connected because of Govinda. Then Vishnu is Vishwa Anu, that means Anu is atomic, that is whatever we call as Vishwa is from the same atom. So it is there in the smallest to smallest and the biggest to the biggest, both in living and not living. Madhusudana is a person, Madhu is nectar and Sudhana is one who has killed. So generally we keep on storing information which are not required or worry about those information. It's like a moving camera or we can call it as a movie. So Madhusudana is the person who cuts that. So it's just like a person has gone to a movie and is watching the movie in ignorance and suddenly the light comes up and then what is appearing on the screen no longer appears. Meaning it is happening but cannot be seen. So that means you are in reality. That is called Madhusudana. Then you have Trivikrama. Krama is discipline, 3 is 3, and V is extensive. So one who has won over the Raga, Dvesha, Moha, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and 3 states, that is Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, and also Adi Bhuta, Adi Daivika, Adhyatmika is called as Trivikrama. Then comes Vamana, one who is controlling everything and who is a teacher who can help in removing the pride, that is Mana, Ahankara, arrogance or ego-centeredness, and Vitta, that is the wealth. So that is the material wealth. So he removes that, or he gives clarity on that. Shri Daraha means Daraha, Daha means to bear, and Raha is to give blissful joy, and Shri is auspicious. So one who is in bliss without any condition and without any boundary is Sridhara. Rishikesha is again owner of the senses in terms of it is the ray of sun, or from the hair, like a hair lining is this light which is coming. So it looks like a piece of lightning appearing. So that is the reason it is called as Rishikesha. That is, when the enlightenment happens, the person gets enlightened like a sharp hit of a lightning, and then he is released. So that is what is meaning of Rishikesha. Then you have Padmanabha. Padma is lotus and Nabhi is the navel. So this is where the Manipura chakra opens up and removes the illusion of the nature or the Maya. And he is able to now discriminate, it is Viveka, between what is conditioned and what is unconditioned. And that is the seat of consciousness. Damodara, Dama plus Udara. It is auspiciousness and having a real blissful experience in everything concerning all the worlds. So 3 worlds which are there. One is the Kama Loka, Rupa Loka, Arupa Loka. All the lokas are really in auspicious and blissful. The original nature of consciousness is to be blissful. The mind is the one which is not in bliss. Sankarshana is sun plus Akarshana, one who can remove all attraction concerning the objects of the senses, and also ego-centeredness, and helps in seeing the ultimate reality. 14th one is Vasudeva. Vasu means beings, Deva is the Lord. So the beings are coming into existence because of the Chitta, which carries the impression called Vasana, and lives and projects images from various experiences. So he helps in supporting all beings without discrimination. Pradyumna is the bestower of buddhi or knowledge of ultimate reality into everything. How everything is starting, stays and collapses, that is the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. And how can a person get rid of karma and samsara, which then creates multiple birth cycles. Aniruddha is Aniruddha, one who cannot be stopped like the flow of mind. That means one who can oversee the mind and ensure that the real self is watching it and not the so-called reflected self. Once the person understands or is aware or is realized on that, he immediately stops the multiple birth cycles. Purushottama, the next one who owns all the Purushas or the best of the Purusha. Puru is city and or the town or the place or the body. Purusha is the person who resides in the body. We have an individual consciousness which is bound by the mind and the body, and Purushottama is the one which is boundless or something what we call as Brahman, expansive state of the mind. So this is where the individual soul merges with the ultimate one reality. Then we have Adokshaja, Adho Aksha, and Ja. Ja is to be born, and it is Aksha is the eyes and all seeing. That means one whose eyes are everywhere. What it means is that all pervading is what it really means by Adokshaja. Narasimha is Nara plus Simha. Simha is a like a king of the jungle. Similarly, the king of the body is this Nara, that is the nerves. So Narasimha is something where it takes ownership of all actions and it is seen by the seer, which is nothing but the Atma. So one who understands this, the Nara and Simha, then he gets liberated. So Narasimha has a very deep significance. Next one is Achyuta. Achyuti is death. Achyuti means deathlessness. So one who has given up the body and the mind feeling is deathless because it is pure consciousness. Then the 21st one is Janardhana. Jana, Ja plus Nardha plus Na, that is provider of knowledge of birth and death cycle, and one who removes the suffering. Upendra is Upa plus Indra, one who transcends the Indriyas is called Upendra. Haraye is like Yo Klesha Harati Sa Harihi, that means remover of all obstacles on the path of liberation. And Krishna is the name given to a person who shows what is liberation. So that concludes 24 of the Keshavanama. Any questions? And the Achamanan is about preparing oneself for experiencing, and that is the reason you take water. Water is a conductor, so you can touch water everywhere and then make it purified.
This is clear, Vilas.
Okay, good. Shri Hari, what about you? I think he went into Samadhi.
No, Will. What I was, sorry, it was on mute. I was asking that, using these Keshavanamas, we touch the body parts and that. So maybe you can give a little glimpse on how that is associated with touching the body parts.
That one is actually symbolic as well as a spiritual. So that itself will become one subject. So let us say, when we say Govinda, so if there is water being kept and rubbed and all that. So basically, what we need to understand is about Udaka, water. That is the source of energy. So how this happens is that you have Akasha, then Vayu, then Agni, then Jala or Apa or this Udaka. So this water has the properties of all the three and it binds everything. So the reason why we are doing it, because we are Prithvi, and it's called as, when the consciousness goes away, it is called Parthiva because it doesn't have any life anywhere. So it just, the space leaves and the air leaves, that is the Vayu leaves, then the Agni heat also leaves, then the Apa leaves, and leaving the solid matter feces as a body. So it is called as Parthiva Sharira. So that is the last part, meaning to say what looks solid is been brought into solidity by these four elements. And water is a nourisher. So this basically all the 24 have these touching and doing different things is to invoke those energies in them where the consciousness or where the mind feels there is no consciousness. Meaning to say that sometimes we are not conscious of many things. So to bring the consciousness into each one of that is called as awareness. You have these 24 positions to touch. And also these are also in Ayurveda, if we look at it, called Marmasthana. That is, these are the points when touched will relieve lot of gases and other things which have accumulated. And majorly it is towards the joints and the tendons and the bones and all of that. So this represents the cleansing of the seven dhatus and the three doshas and the three mala. So that is the reason you have these 24 ways of touching. Did that answer?
Yeah, yes, Vilas. Thank you.
No worries. So now after doing this, there are other things which are there, but what we need to do is that after we have understood the entire Keshava Nama, then we have to reflect upon that. So this reflection should be for 10-15 minutes on each one of them and how it is represented in our body. So this representation in our body is called a tattva, and that is what the Keshava is all about. So now we go by one tattva. So first we have to organize ourselves by 5 elements. So we are taking space, so it is Akasha. Then not only that, there is movement in everything, so that is Vayu. Then there is heat and cold, which a person can feel in his body or her body and everybody's body, and also outside nature or outside his home or inside his home. Everywhere there is this heat and cold, there is movement, the air is moving, and there is space. Then you have Apa or the Jala, which is the binding nature and also flowing nature. So everything flows, the blood flows, the bile flows, the mucus flows, the urine flows. So all these flowing things is what one need to observe. And then there's Prithvi, that is the earth element which is making solid. So once we see this picture, we need to see what happens in our body. So there are 3 things called as Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Vata is brought by the Akasha and Vayu. Pitta is got by the Agni and Jala. And the Prithvi is got by the Jala and or the Kapha is brought by the Prithvi and the Jala. So this is how they are bound together, and they keep on changing moment to moment depending upon the outside environment and inside environment. The observer is that Atma, which is observing all of this. It has no connection with these 5 elements basically. And that's the reason it is called as Pura is the city or the body. Purusha means one who is staying in that. So we can roughly equate it to be an Atma which is overlooking these 5 elements. But the 5 elements themselves cannot do anything, so you require Manas. So first thing we need to understand is that there is a container. Apart from understanding these 5 elements, you have to understand that there is something called as Manas, which is a container. In that container itself is Manas plus Buddhi, the intellect, which has come from Mahat, the universal intelligence. That means from a cell cycle itself, it knows what to pick up. What nutrients to be picked up is known to each cell. You or I or anyone is not dictating that, okay, now I have eaten this so and so, so why don't you pull up and take this, just like what a mother gives to a child. And the child will say, no, I don't want this today, yesterday only he had prepared it. But as when it comes to these cells, they exactly know what to do. And this intelligence of how a human should be human, how a plant should be a plant, how an animal should be an animal, how a bird should be a bird, how everything should be neatly organized is what we call as nature, which is called as Mahat. And from Mahat comes the Buddhi. the individual buddhi depending upon his or her karma. So now you have this thing called as buddhi in the container. Then there is always saying that I know, I did it, I am doing that, or I am eating, I am sleeping, I am studying, and all of that. I, which comes up, is called as ahankara. So this container has the container itself, then the buddhi, then the ahankara, and then it has something called as mula prakriti. That means that which can never be changed except by itself is called mula prakriti. Mula means root, prakriti means nature. So there is one guna which is available in all called as sattva, and two doshas called as rajas and tamas. Again, depending upon the nature of the person in his past lives, in terms of the mind, he or she gets this association. So some persons are tamasic in nature, little bit of sattvic, and you have this rajasic. So first we need to understand what are these meanings in the first place. Sattva is called as the essence. So in life we are in search of that essence in everything we do. So essence is what sattva is. Rajas is the movement. Without rajas, nobody can live because the cells have to move. So you require movement. And tamas is heaviness and also stability. So you need to have tamas for something to go on rest mode. So thus you cannot have anybody 100% sattvic, 100% rajasic, and 100% tamasic. It would be a combination of all the three. Sometimes we are tamasic, as an example that the whole world is now believing that something called corona exists and they are in quest of removing it. So there's pure tamas, darkness. And when there is darkness, there should be movement also in darkness. So person keeps on running in darkness, and that is called as rajas. So there will be all those people who would be running behind the tamas and rajas. So these are the two doshas of the mind. And sattva barely runs because it just flows wherever, whatever is asked. So if it is rajasic, sattva flows in rajas and makes it even more. So the person becomes more excited, or person becomes more greedy and more envious, or more aggressive oriented, more what I can say, ambitious oriented. All that is part of rajas. Tamas is a person who feels lonely, slow, dull, depressed in the mind, and that is tamas. So this sattva moving into tamas, it becomes heavy. So there is no clarity. So that's the reason tamas is called as ignorance, because there is no clarity on what that needs to be done. So people get worked up on their jobs, on their whatever they are doing. So this is another thing what needs to be contemplated. So this 5 indriyas we spoke about, and we spoke about 4 things other than the 5. Now we'll come to Vishaya, Indriya Vishaya. These are sense objects. These are called as tan matras. That is, tanu means small and matra means size, small size. So what it really means that you can't see, but you can only experience it. So if you have chakshu as a equipment inside your heart, by the way, all these 5 senses are in the heart, and that is the seat of the mind. So now when there is chakshu, it should have rupa. So it goes in search of rupa. Again, Mahat comes into picture. It knows that it has to select only rupa. And rupa consists of, again, the 5 elements. It's called Mahabhuta. So what an eye can see, it cannot see the space, it cannot see the air, and it cannot see the fire element. But it can recognize the Apo and the Prithvi because they are reasonably well indicated in the eye. So Chakshu will look at Rupa. For that you require a connection, and that is called as consciousness. And this Atma will connect these two. So when there is a mind, there is a motion at the sense door that something is coming, the Chakshu opens up and the Rupa is grasped. The relationship and everything is then prepared by the mind, Manas, and that is where the Chittas are. So Chittas follow whatever Atma is doing. So ultimately the enjoyer and sufferer is this individual soul called as Atma. So with Chakshu and Rupa, there is an enjoyment and there is suffering. With Shrota and Shabda, there is an enjoyment and suffering. Then with Grana and Gandha, again same thing. And Jivha and Rasa and Kaya with Sparsha. And the Mano is also there, that is a sixth sense by itself, and it has all these five senses inside. And that will do the Chintana, idealization, pondering, and thoughts is part of this Mano. Depending upon what is coming in these five objects, this mind will then create something. So the creation, sustenance, and destruction is happening in the mind. When we say mind, it is the Chitta. So using the Chitta, basically a person were to develop everything. So all the products which are coming out in the market started with the Chitta. So these are the 5 plus 5. Then you have 5 karma indriyas. So when we look at the karma indriyas, then there is the pani is the hands, payu is the legs, and pada is the legs, payu is the excretory places, and upastha is the genitals, and the fifth one is the vak, which is the speech. So these are the 5 karma indriyas. Okay, so with this 5 karma indriyas, what is happening is that the person is doing karma. So from the chitta, that is becomes mano karma. From the vak, it becomes vak karma, and from the body kaya, it is kaya karma. So we say kaya vacha manasa. So this is what we are doing. So you have 5 elements, then the 5 karma indriyas, 5 jnana indriyas, and 5 tanmatras. So 20 plus 4 is 24. So along with the Keshava Nama, if you are knowing this much, that means you have achieved the first level of meditation. Because that will give you an access into what is Brahman or what is Purusha or whatever it is. Then if you are reading Purusha Sukta, it makes much good sense, or Narayana Sukta or whatever. So all the Suktas will, Sri Sukta, Narayana Sukta and the Purusha Sukta is best understood once a person knows the 24 Keshava Nama along with these 24 Tattvas. Any questions?
So, this meditation can be done by anybody, right? Irrespective of their condition.
Yes.
And best time prescribed, recommended is Sandhya time, three times when you have that.
Yeah, in the morning, that is when the twilight zone is there. That is very good for the body because it will help in extracting vitamin D from the sun.
Yeah.
So most of the people nowadays, all of us who are in IT and cannot go anywhere except for office, we have an vitamin D deficiency, and because of the deficiency, we will have immune related problems. So the basic aim of both the Dvikala, that is the Sandhya Kalas, are to increase this vitamin D and also charge our body with water. So now the problem is that we should have done it near the river side, especially near the Godavari or Kaveri or Sindhu or Narmada or whatever rivers. But unfortunately, we are not in that place. So we might, when we say the Pravara, we might say we are from so and so place and this so and so is my name and all that. But that really doesn't help because you are not in that place. And when we are inside the water and we are doing arghya, that is giving the water, it will recharge the entire body. So the body becomes really hard like stone because it gets the energy from the sun and is charged by water. So the moon, sun and water conditions the Ida Pingala Nadi. So then the experience at the Agnya Chakra will be very good. So that's the reason the Sandhyavandanam is done near the river side, not at home.
So, see, for example, my daughters, we don't have that system, right? For girls, in especially doing the Sandhyaavandana. But looking at this, I find this can be taught to anybody. That Keshavaya Swaha, Narayana Swaha, Madhavaya Swaha, then Govindaya Namaha, Vishnu Namaha, like that you have all these names.
Correct.
Only that if you chant in front of this sun, then you will get peace of mind. A meditation happens. Otherwise, not during when you go to sunbath. Generally, you start thinking something and you keep talking something. It's all not clearing your mind. But this will meditative way. This will clear your mind in such a way that you remember each name along with the meaning, like what you explained just now. If that is so, you will get quickly that Chitta Shuddhi.
Yes, and that will give clarity of thought, speech, and action.
I'm just thinking that because now home we started this yoga because of this COVID. Some shloka and all that asana we do together. Now I'm just thinking that this can be introduced easily.
Yes, this can be introduced easily, and this video can be shared with your daughter also.
Yeah.
Maybe that can help them.
Yes.
So that is what it is to begin with. Then we are starting with this Pranavasya Parabrahma Rishihi and all that. Okay, there is something called as Marjanam. Marjanam means purification. This one I did not translate it. Reason being that it refers to each one of the rishi who did that. Let us say Apohisteti. If we look at it, it's a Ambarisha, and he's from Sindhu Dvipa. So they have given from where the person is. And then if we look at what is the meaning of Apohista, I think I sent that meaning, but don't worry, I'll again bring it up.
Yeah.
So Apo is water, and he is that indeed the water. Stha is stay or you are. And Mayo Bhuvaha is a source of expansion. Taha means those. Naha is for us. Urje means nourishment. And Urja doesn't have a real English word. Urja is Urja, which after it becomes Ojas, that's Urjatva. That means shining. So the person shines. Dadhatana is granting. Mahe is great. Ranaya means delightful. Chakshase insight. So what he's saying is that Ambarisha, he is saying that water, you are indeed a source of expansion. So this water for him, if you really see, it starts with Akasha, Akasha with Vayu, Vayu with Agni, Agni with Jala. So your mind has expanded to the fourth dimension already. So he has put that. And that is to reach the space and Akasha for us, which providing the nourishment, that increasing the Ojas. Let us say if there is dehydration, what is happening? The Ojas is reduced and the Urja is not there. So the body becomes dull. So he's saying that give me this water, granting great delightful insight while meditating. That is, to have an insightful meditation, I require water. So what they found, what these rishis found out was, water is a good conductor of electricity. So if any metal were to touch water, it will conduct, and body itself is a conductor with all the elements being there. It has copper, it has iron, it has all, basically it has all, nitrogen, oxygen. What all you find outside, you are finding it inside. So the macrocosm is outside and microcosm is inside. So the universe itself is inside you. So you are the antariksha. So with that you can do this easily. So that's the meaning of it. So I did not explain or expand it further because then I had spoken with Lata and she didn't wanted a total explanation of each word by word or something like that, or the mantras, because she was feeling that she has never done it. So she wanted something where anybody can do. So I skipped about mantra chamanam. Then again the achamanam is there, dvitiya marjanam, that is second time purification, and each sage will come and say what he has done. So it is worthwhile to see that from each sage's perspective what they have experienced, and this whole thing talks about that. So then we are coming into pranayama, sankalpa. So pranavasya parabrahma rishihi paramatma devata devi gayatri chanda pranayame vinyogaha. So that is where we are in now. So pranava. So pranava asya pranava, that is the one single sound which is all pervading, is called pranava. This is like an ultraviolet rays. So if somebody were to get into 110 decibel sound, that person can hear this sound called Om, and that if you hear, it will be like this sound. That is the sound of Om, not ma, what you really hear, but this is the sound what you can hear. And the nearest of that is called Soham. So when the air enters, it makes a sound so, and when air comes out, it will be hum. And if you do Soham, 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 ultimately it becomes Hamsa. That is, you are reversing the cycle. So the anuloma is Soham, and then the pratiloma is Hamsa. The birth and death is Soham, and the deathless state is Hamsa. So this is the pranavasya. Parabrahma is the ever expanding. Rishihi is, there are 6-7 states right from Guru onwards. So Rishi is a person who has walked the path and got liberated. So he is standing on the other bank of the river. So that is what the pranava is. Paramatma devata is, Paramatma is, if you think you are an Atma, then there is something called Paramatma. Parama means supreme. There is no dual. Atma is one which is ever present, and that is the devata, that is the giver. Devi, it's people call it as Devi, it is actually Devi Gayatri Chandaha. Devi is auspicious, Gayatri is the Chandas, which is auspicious because the way the letters are, each one of these vowels and the letters are placed, if somebody were to do it correctly, will find the enlightenment. Pranayame vinayogaha, now he is doing ayama of prana. Yama, or putting something into rules. So the prana, which is going elsewhere, he is bringing it into what the prana should be. So basically the entire body is pulsating. Each pulse has the vata, pitta, kapha going, and each one of these is prana. So you should be able to see prana in all the parts of the body, because that is what is prana is all about. So yama is to have control. Viniyogaha is, yogaha is yuj, that is to join or to unite. Viniyogaha is to completely merge. Now the question comes, what am I merging with? So let's go one by one on that, merging in terms of Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuvaha and all that. So these are all called as Vyaharatis. Bhuva is earth. So when the being first time comes, earth need not be this earth. Everything that is solid can be felt is called as earth. This is called first existence, and all forms of existence. This is the first time appearance is called as Bhuvaha. So Bhuhu, then Bhuvaha is re-existence when due to new karma and the karma vipaka, a person re-enters but forgets why he entered in the first time, is called Bhuvaha. Suvaha is the heavenly existence. Su plus Vaha. Vaha is to say stay, and Su is good. Good stay. So the other two are not that good stays. It's a short stay and filled with slight happiness and more of disaster. First time you do the mistake, it is called as Buhu. Second time you do a mistake is called Bhuvaha. And you are coming out of the cycle of that mistake is called Suvaha. Mahaha is the being which is in search of body. So it is intermediate existences. And this can exist in all the three worlds, all the three loka. Tapaha is the person who has understood this birth and death cycle. So he is doing austerity and getting rid of that. And so he is staying from the changes, which is heat and cold. Tapaha. Satyam is the eternal truth. So there is no rebirth. So Tat Savitur Varenyam. So then we will go into that. Tat is that. Savitur is Sa. Vitur is normally auspiciousness, also called as Paramatman. Bharga is the light. Devasya is the Deva, which means one who gives. Dihi is the Buddhi, intellect. Mahif is for oneself. Again, Dhi is Buddhi. Prachodayat is let it be enlightened. Let the Buddhi be enlightened with what is reality, is what is this whole all about. So then we have Om again, that is a pranava. Then in this case, the first pranava and second pranava is, in the first pranava, the person has a sound, and the second pranava is experiencing the Turiya state, which is the Vaishvanara, Taijasa, Prajna and Turiya. All the four states are experienced. Then he knows this water is the Jyoti. So Apo Jyotir, he is there. Rasaha is the flavor. Amrutam is a deathless state. Brahma is the expanded mind now, which is not having, there is no dual. Whether it is Bhuhu, earth, Bhur is re-existence, Swara is heaven. And he has now understood Om. So he started with Om and ended with understanding what is Om. And that meditation is called as pranayama. As per this.
So this pranayama, same thing we can repeat, this pranayama meditation.
Yes, you can repeat as many number of times you want. But by 21, when you do 21, you get that complete stopping by itself. It's 3 times, 7 into 3. These are 7 Vyaharatis. 7 in 7, this 7, then the entire cycle, then 7, and that 7 gives you 21, so it takes you the peak.
Yeah, based on the so far what we have learned in pranayamas, I found because of this meaning, and when you do that, what do you call harmonization, meaning and the mantra and all that, again this can be recited by anybody, right? Is there any restriction? Because it's very easy, and it's easy to visualize and also experience.
Correct. It's very easy to visualize, easy to experience. In fact, you can stay in one of these lokas to see what you really feel. Let us say we take Bhuloka. Bhu means which is round. So the endless cycle of birth and death is Bhuloka. You can see.
Yeah.
So there is no religious connotation to that. It is Bhuhu. sorry, bhu and bhuvaha is again and again, and every day I'm coming and going and coming and going as a day, daylight, then afternoon, then evening, then night and midnight, and again next day. And the person's body is getting destroyed again and again and again. Every 3 4 hours it gets destroyed because he requires food, or he or she requires food. And there is a this uh, three malas. So that's what the person is doing all the time. So there's reappearances. So every day is a reappearance. One day that reappearance will not be there because it becomes parthiva. That is, just leaves with earth, wherein the other four elements walk away. So first parthiva will have the water leaving. So what happens here is that the person starts shivering and he gets sweating. So when you see heart attack person, he gets sweat. So that is because of re-existence. So now his heart is being punctured. So his or her heart. So there is a tremendous sweat. So this is apa is going away. When apa goes away, it carries itself with the fire, which is the agni. So all the deha agnis are slowly departing. So he will lose consciousness, and he will also, the heat in the legs, in the hands, in the head, all starts going. Then the movement, that is vayu. So he becomes more and more immobile. He cannot move. So then the vayu goes away, and ultimately akasha goes away. So when akasha goes away, what remains is only parthiva. And that is what you can reflect when you start with the seven chakra meditation using the same one, Om Buhu. You can see that this Mooladhara chakra is the one which is Moola and Adhara. Adhara means support, Moola is the root. It's a root support of life. If anything happens below, that is diarrhea or a colon or any problem happens, that person is almost dead. So that is the first existence happening in the Mooladhara. Swadhisthana, which is the water. Swa Adhisthana, self-established, and it's a water sign. So it is perfectly matching with how this Bhuvaha is working. Then you have Suvaha. That is where the consciousness is. That's where the consciousness came, navel portion. So then if you really see that Suvaha is heaven, Maha is in the heart. That is where it gets punctured. So the Narayana will walk away from there. So this person will be in an intermediate existence, trying to find a body. So Maha. Then you have Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. So this can be used in various ways. In both the ways, it can be experienced. So if one can do like this, then it's very good meditation. I think right now also we are meditating. I only hope that you are able to experience what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely, yes. Immediately after this, you have Apo Jyoti Raso Amritam. What is this?
Yes, so
Connection point of view.
see, after you have understood that because of water everything is coming into existence, that is the Jyoti. That, see, you see, 70% of our body is water. And water already has space, it already has the fire, sorry, the movement, which is the Vayu and the Agni. So to understand reality, all that you need to know is water, because water has everything. It has binding property, it has moving property, sorry, it has flowing property. So if I were to flow into Brahman, I require water. So for that reason, it says Apor Jyoti Rasom Mrutam Brahma Bhur Bhuva Swarom Om. So
Yes.
What it means is that this jyoti, this light, is the actual flavor, rasa. This is the rasa which I wanted to understand. So now I've got it because of this water, this flowing nature and its binding nature. So I was bound to samsara, now I am bound to myself, which is the Brahman. And now I have reached from a death state to deathless state. I was bound to the samsara, which was death state, and now I am deathless state. So amrutam. Mruta is to die. Amruta is not dying. So deathless state. Brahma bhur bhuvaswara. This Brahma expansion is there now because I am able to see Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka and Suvarloka. All the three loka I am, or Svarloka, I am able to experience. And all of that is in Om. So at the end of this, you have this saying that I have now understood the Jyoti. So it starts with Pranavasya Paraparam Rishihi Paramatma Devata Devi Gayatri Chandra Pranayame Vinyogaha Om Buhu Om Bhuvaha Om Suvaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam Om Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat Om Apor Jyoti Rasomrutam Brahma Bhur Bhuvaswarom Om. So after I have understood the 7 Vyaharati, my mind that Savitur has happened. That means I have understood the essence of life. And now the light is shining. That's called Bhargo. Devasya is the provider, the Deva. What is he providing? What is being provided? No, he or she. What is being provided is Dihi, Buddhi, intellect. Mahi, for oneself. For Pracha Uddhayat, Prachodayat, so that I can be enlightened, or this being be enlightened. So with every Vyaharati understanding, the enlightenment will increase. So now I came to know that because of Apo, all of these things are happening. So now I am released from the samsara. So 21 times if I were, if 3 times if I were to finish it, first 21, then I can experience bliss. The next 21, like that I can keep on going. Question?
So actually, this Sandhyaavandana has to be initiated by a really realized person.
Yes.
Then it would have helped all the people who are doing Sandhyaavandana.
Correct. That's the reason.
There is a lot of deep meaning in it, and but any reason why the girls are not given?
There is a good reason, because they don't have the Shukra. There is no Shukra Dhatu. They have Arthava, that is menstrual blood, and they lose it every month. So that's the reason it is not, this Brahmopadesha is not meant for girls, because it's called Brahma Upadesha. You should be able to go and develop the Ojas. So since the Shukra Dhatu is missing and is replaced with Arthava, that doesn't mean that feminine people cannot understand the reality. It is, but they felt that the masculine or the Pumsa has more power because they have the semen. So that doesn't dissipate. It stays with that person. Okay, so let us say if somebody were to be a brahmachari, Brahmacharya. Charya is to do, Brahma is one who is working towards expansion. For that, the ojas should be good. And as per Ayurveda, it takes 45 days, Alena? 45 days to develop ojas. And that facility is not there in feminine, because they lose the ojas in 14 days. And that's the reason it was not done for girls. Initially, it was done for girls as part of the Munja Dharana process, where it became Upanayana, that is in front of the teacher. But the Brahmopadesha was something restricted only to the males. Because there is no Shukra, not for any other discrimination or whatever it is, their body cannot retain the energy.
But I heard there are Brahmavadinis. What is that?
No, there are. I'm not saying there are not. But if you go by the scriptural references, and that is what Shankara also in the Viveka Chudamani, he starts saying that you should be happy that you have become a man or a pumsa. So there are various views on that because it's always controversial to say that why women are not considered in the Hindu society or whatever. It is not like that. It is because of what really exists in the real sense. If you see, after the menopause, that woman doesn't have anything called artava. Artava is menstrual blood. It gets dried up, so she can never get what she wanted to get after that, because that is the law of nature. It's not law of anyone, it is the law of nature. So that is the reason it is like that. But then there are various views which have come subsequently saying that a women can also get into that, they can do it. So I was teaching one girl who is in US about how to extract the energy from her own egg. That is possible, but the only problem with that approach is she will not have child. And she said that they both are not interested with the child. So in that case, it is possible. So it will again reunite itself with the, like the Shukra, it will again reunite with Arthava. So you have seven dhatus, and the seventh dhatu is the Shukra dhatu, or in the feminine it is Arthava. So if they have been initiated like that, like the Brahma Kumaris and all that, then it is possible. I'm not saying it is literally impossible. There are sadhvis, and that has been there in the past. But as a general, if you were to say, all male has ability to transcend the reality, but not all female have the ability to transcend the reality. Maybe we can put it that way, rather than saying the feminine is not do not have ability to do it. That will be a wrong thing to say. Maybe we can look it like this. From the scriptural references, it doesn't make a distinction, but considering the factors that a woman can also learn the art of finding about Brahman, so it should not be said that she cannot. If she can extract the energy, then she can really do it. And in fact, she can do it much faster than a man, because it takes 45 days for the ojas to develop in a man, whereas it just takes 14 days for all of that to happen in a woman. So she is very much capable. Did that answer, Lata?
Yeah, but okay, no comments.
Okay. No, don't worry. It is possible, but it is not in generic sense it is possible, because of the limitation on the body.
I don't agree, but we can continue.
Yeah, no problem. You don't have to agree. My wife also doesn't agree. Let nobody agree. I have no problem. And I don't want to confuse people that this is possible, that is not possible. That is the reason generally it was not done. If somebody were to know why the reason it was not done, this is the reason. But then if we can argue on both sides saying that no, that might be wrong or that might be a misunderstanding, quite possible.
Yeah, one thing is practically, Om Bhuhu Bhuva Swama Jana Tapasatya is there. Now that time, we are inhaling oxygen, keeping our fingers, that index finger folded, and then other finger on the left nose, and then inhaling, and then we are exhaling. What exactly is that process here? When it has to be done?
No,
then Apojyotirsamrita means you are touching your this eyes.
Correct. So in that pranayama, what happens is that you are expanding the prana. it should really expand the prana. When we say Om Buhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, then when you leave your nostril, you are exhaling that the other prana, that is the prana which we're taking away. See, now we have to first understand what is prana in the first place. Prana is the five pranas, in that all the five taken together becomes prana. This is part of the Prakriti. So now what happens here is that as soon as we inhale, apart from the air, there is this vital force called as prana coming from consciousness. Generally, until the age of 35, there is more prana and no prana going. There is more prana going in and less prana going out, or there is no prana going out basically. From 35 to around 60 years of age, as much prana goes in, that much prana comes out. So the aging process is stabilized. This is for a yogi I'm talking about, not for a normal person. Then we'll come to know what is a normal person also. And from 60 to say 90 years of age, less prana goes in and more prana comes out. And from 90 years of age to 120 years of age, the more prana goes out, and now he reverses the action to get in more prana. So he is expanding and expanding and expanding. So this expanding goes up to 120 years. In a normal person, from age of from womb state, entry into the womb 3rd month, to let us so till the age of 25, there's only prana entering in, there's no prana going out. Only the vital air is going in. So as soon as he inhales, there is only prana entering. As soon as he exhales, it's like this: a car filled with 6 people going inside and it's coming back empty. So that happens up till 25 years of age. From 25 years of age to 40 years of age, the person's prana, 6 people going in the car, but 1 person is coming out all the time. This until 40. Then 40 to 55, 15 years, 6 people enter inside, but 2 people or 3 people keep on coming outside. And from 55 to 70, then next 15 years, 6 people enter inside and 4 people always exit for sure. So if you see, the aging process increases at the age of 70. Okay. And then from 70 to 90 or even 100, let us say if a 100 person is Shatayu, going to stay at 100, then 6 people enter in the car, goes as inhalation, and then 5 people come out. So there's only 1 person who is there. And if any pressure is put on his body, then that 6th person also comes out. So then there is no prana. So this is the process what generally happens for a normal person without stress. Now a person is stressful of job or environmental factors or home or whatever it is, then the 25 years will still be like that. But then from 25 to 40, at least 1 or 2 people will keep on going out. Then from 40 to 55, 3 or 4 people will be going out. And from 55 to 70, he might not live, because the amount of prana which should have gone inside is becoming less and less. So a person can be seen being crunched, his body getting shrinked, energy getting shrinked, and the basic motor organs which were working also will be very sluggish. They are not able to work. So this we can observe in terms of how how active a person is and how inactive a person is. The inactivity shows that the prana is less. A very active person shows that the prana is more. So this pranayama of Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuva, Om Suvaha, Om Maha Jana Tapa Satyam Tatsavitur Varenyam, like that when we do, and when we do with knowing what it is that we are doing, so the prana will increase. So when you hold your nostril, you are basically purporting the action of the Ida Pingala and the Ida Nadi and the Pingala Nadi, so that when we observe the centeredness of ourselves, the Sushumna Nadi opens up, meaning the energy moves through that, both the channels. When the Sushumna Nadi, when the prana is entering through the Sushumna Nadi, even though there is a blockage of the nostril, after some time you will see that the air is centered, meaning to say that the air coming from both the nostril is equal. It's not that one nostril is more and another nostril is less. And also every 90 minutes, that is 1.5 hours, the Ida becomes Pingala and Pingala becomes Ida. Then the air sometimes is in the left nostril for 90 minutes, and after 90 minutes it will become to right nostril. Again it goes to left nostril, again it goes to right nostril. So what the sages found out is, through this meditation, you are able to maintain that from 90 minutes to more than 180 minutes. That is double. So you are expanding the prana. So that is the reason this pranayama vidhi is there. That is, you close one nostril and then whatever that hand movement you need to do, then you again leave and keep on doing it. Did that answer?
Yes.
So some people look very young in their old age, and some people look very old in their young age.
But the people, see, it also happens through their DNA. But the people, those who look old, engaged, by practicing this pranayama, they can bring more energy in.
Yes, correct. Even though it is there in DNA, even though they are prone for a lot of diseases, they can still extend it.
Vilas, I have one question.
Sure.
But it is related to your previous discussions on ladies, women not being able to do certain things. Does it also, meaning the root of this Jiva Beda, Jiva Jada Beda, which is there, which we are talking in the Madhva philosophy, does that include this one also, this male and female Beda?
Yes, it does include, because it is Jiva. You are right. That includes that there is a Beda between a male and a female in what is possible and what is not possible.
Okay, but then you said that it is not that it is impossible, but then if you are initiated right from very young age, like the Brahma Kumaris are,
yes,
for example, because they have their style, meaning they are initiated from very young, then
correct,
they have a way of life that they need also.
Yes.
So you say that it is possible, right?
It is possible. It is very much possible.
So now when we say all these things, then if you don't follow that kind of an initiation, what we are concluding with that theory is that you can never attain realization as a female. Is that what we are concluding? If you are not initiated.
No, you will get realized.
But you're not liberated.
You will not liberate. For liberation, what happens, that last jump has to happen. So that last jump, there will always be an obstacle. So you will have Atmananda. So what will happen is that Jivi, after the break of this body, will land up in Brahma realm of existence, and then it gets the liberation from Brahma realm of existence. Meaning to say,
but it can so happen that the next, meaning if the effort is continuous, then the next birth would be in male body, and then it could be possible, or it is never possible.
No, it is very much possible. See, the question is the lurking question in all the scriptures. If you see, including Ayurveda, if you were to see, will a woman liberate in this life, is the question. And the answer is, a woman will realize in this life, need not get into liberation, because there is an antarpata happening. That is to say that it will lose its feminine touch. And then what happens is, let us say if it is not yet matured in that way, this being will take the form of a male, come back here and start progressing. This is one way of doing it. But let us say if a person is realized already in this life, it can be you, or it can be Lata, or it can be any other female who have realized the truth completely. They are in Atmananda. So that means they don't come into this womb form again. Meaning there is no womb birth, there is nothing called female, there is nothing called male, nothing like that at all. So they get into the Brahma realm of existence. And from Brahma realm of existence, they then become completely liberated.
But when you long back, I remember something where you had told that liberation can happen only when you are taking this human form. So even devas will really want to come into the human form to get liberated.
Yes,
you were saying.
absolutely.
Because in Brahma realm of existence, there is no way of putting an effort there. It is only in the human. You need the human body to put that effort of getting liberated. But if that is the case, then how would from Brahma Loka directly liberation is possible?
Okay, let me answer to you in this way. Most of the time, be it a male or a female, they will not be able to be in a Brahma realm of mindset at the time of their death. First thing. Then what happens? They will become Deva. In the Deva Loka, they cannot be able to practice this. So they come back to earth. Now, in the case of female also, that person will progress, and she will take a human male form and come back to earth to complete her journey. Or because
so it is required to come back to earth. That's what
yes, it is required. Now, let us say if the person is already in that state, as you or Lata, let us say you are already in that state, then what happens? All the 24 hours you are in the Atmananda state. Like in the case of Brahma Kumaris or whatever, let us take some of those examples also. Then what happens? Then you cannot merge with Brahman, because that I still exist. Subtle I exist. So what happens is, in Brahma Loka there are many Brahma Lokas. There need not be one single Brahma. There are many Brahma Lokas. In that, one of the Loka is for those beings who have matured beyond any of these Kama Loka and the Rupa Loka. So they are in Arupa Loka. So in that Arupa Loka, that being can practice, meaning that being will be practicing, and will then, once that body gets dismantled, that is to say that the chitta gets dismantled, it merges. There is no rebirth. That is possible. This is possible even for a male and also for a female. That one. But maximum amount of time for all of us, it would be realization, but then getting again muddy into something, so we again become a Deva and again come back. Now, let us say again a human form is there for a woman. She will be again born as a woman. This is what a clarification Madhvacharya also has given, saying that if you are looking from a Jiva perspective, if you are a woman, you will be a woman. If you are a man, you will be a man. If you are a crow, you are a crow. If you are a dog, you are a dog. There is no way you can. Antarpata cannot happen without the blessing of Sri Hari. Then only it is possible. Otherwise, it's not.
Prerane or the
Yes.
Prerane, he calls it the Prerane, right?
Yes.
Yes. I don't know what meaning without the because it is not just blessing, it is much more than.
Yes. So in English, I don't have any word for prerane. I can use this motivation. Maybe Sri Hari motivates that being to take that change of form. Then it is possible.
Okay. I had this question, so thanks for.
No problem. So I have also gone through the scriptures and it is correct. So it once we skip this loka for whatever reason, then Madhva says that Antarpata has happened because of prerana of Sri Hari, not because you wanted it. So there are these logical questions which were posed to Madhvacharya, and he answered that this can happen only when Sri Hari is able to create that motivation in that being, otherwise not. So let us say maybe you and Lata, you are having the prerana or that motivation is already there, then nothing in the world can stop. So then that Panchabeda cannot be applied to you or to Lata. What else?
Maybe we can continue tomorrow.
Yeah, we will continue tomorrow with our Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
No worries. So we covered what is Brahmopadesham and what is Sandhyavandanam. So Brahma Upadesha is this: how to find Brahman in while you are doing Achamanan to this pranayama.
Actually, you have done much more than what generally the acharyas they do at the time of Brahmopadesha.
Yeah,
today's session was good.
Yeah,
this is what is required.
Yeah, they will actually they use Antarpata. I mean, if you have seen that, they will take some kind of a cloth and they cover that that Brahmana Vatu and tell him in his ears. So that is the meaning of Dvija. That is once born through the womb and a second born through the knowledge of Brahman. But unfortunately, we all are born out of womb only. We have not yet got to a stage of getting born again, reborn.
Yeah, Janmana Jayate Janto, then that Karmana Kriyate Dvijaha, then Vedashastrena Panditaha, then finally Brahmajnanena
Dvija.
Brahmana.
Yes, Brahmana.
Brahmana means finally
correct.
Ultimate truth seeker.
Yes. No, person who has seen the truth. So now we have seen the truth. So basically the 24 tattvas, if somebody were to perfectly see it within his body, the person gets realized. There is no individual. There is nothing called as, I am this and she is this or he is this or whatever. It's all is only 5 elements plus 5 sense object, 5 senses and 5 sense object and 5 karmendriyas, then manas, buddhi, ahankara and mula prakriti. And 1 purusha to light it up.
Yes.
So now you tell me, does any human being exist like what we think? No.
You see this, these are all individual bolts and nuts.
Correct.
Finally, the energy which is putting all these bolts and nuts connects all these things together, and finally that energy. So our idea is to understand energy, not all these things, other things. Other things we are knowingly separating with the meditation, by knowledge.
Correct.
When you separate all this out, what is remaining is Amrita, is nothing but Brahman.
Correct. And that is the sattva. That is the essence.
Yes.
So you are in your essential nature. So aham brahmasmi.
Nice.
Okay then. So we'll end.
Okay. Thank you, Vilas.
Thank you then.
We have,
Yeah,
we have
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.